Hi friends, Renee Keese here with Carolina Creative, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm here with some more crafting ideas today, and I am back to playing with this Citrus Blooms bundle. So it's not only a stamp set, I'm going to focus on this stamp today. I've already pre-stamped it and show you what I'll do with that. But this is being a bundle, it also comes with dies. And today I've done some die cutting. What's really cool about this set is not only are there these shapes to punch out, the fruit as well as leaves and flowers, but this border and the leaves that I've used before and then this edge, and that's what I want to focus on today. So I've already taken time to punch out this border with all the leaves. It's absolutely stunning. And you can tell this would be lovely in a lot of different colors. So this is my starting point. I have already stamped, like I said, my fruit. I'm going to flip the camera down and start showing you my work area here. I'm focusing on a single fruit, and I am thinking grapefruit today. I want yellow, so I have picked out my blends. I've got a couple shades of green. I have my petal pink that I'm going to use for the flowers, and then a little bit of bronze, or even the copper clay does really well for the stem. What I did this time, last time I had pre-punched this, and then I had to color carefully, and I didn't have a lot to hold on to. So this time, I'll wait, and I'll do all my die cutting in just a minute after I've colored this. So I'm going to start by coloring in the stem here that the fruit is growing on. And I think what I'm going to do next, a lot of decisions here, I'm going to just do the flower petals. And as I've done before, I don't worry too much about getting everything colored. It can be this pale pink and white on those blooms. And I think that's just fine. So I'm not being too particular here. I'm just, the color will still show up. I'm just dabbing it on there. And then I think for the center of those flowers, I'm going to go with this darker color. And this is Daffodil Delight. So I'm just going to dot this on. There we go. And add a little bit more color there. Now I think I want to do my leaves. And I'm going to pick, well, I did pick, these are actually the same, dark Just Jade. Now I know this is retired, so any shade of green will do. I was going for a softer color. I'm going to start on the side with these big leaves and try to outline this with the paintbrush tip. It can be a little tricky. And what's nice about these blenders is that it's buildable. So if I start going over a spot, it will be a little darker, and then where I want it to be shaded or lighter, I will use the lifter pen. Now I think to get into all these little tiny nooks and crannies, I am going to go with this. Now it looks like I didn't ink up very well and get the edge of that leaf. I will just draw it in, and once it's punched out, it'll just look normal. Or I'll add a line there with an ink pen if I need to later, but I have a feeling it's going to look just fine. So I'm coloring in all the little nooks and crannies here around the flower petals and trying to get the leaves a little bit of texture, a little bit of color here. There we go. Up and down. I like to outline first and then fill in. And I like to go along the veins that the artist has put in too. So now let me get the little flower stems here. And I did those in green, as you can tell. Okay, so I'm just gonna make this a little bit darker where these main veins are, and then fill in with the color lifter in just a minute. So I've got my lifter ready and push this out of my way. I now want to color, I'm calling this a grapefruit. I just think the bright lemon color is really, really cheerful. This is Daffodil Delight, yep. And so I'm gonna fill this in and just color the fruit. And then again, because I can layer, I'm going to, where the stippling is here, I'm gonna actually go a little darker there. Give it a little bit of shading here. And that's actually showing up pretty well. I might not have to do much color lifting on the fruit itself. I kind of like the way that looks. So now I'm going to go back and just give a little more texture to these leaves and just do just a subtle color lift here. It does take it a minute or so for that to show up, and it will start getting a little bit lighter. But that is the look that I was going for. Okay, so now the other thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp. Well, I'll stamp later. Let me do my die cutting and be done, because then I can move this out of my way. So I am ready to put the die on my image and punch this out. And I went looking for some paper. Now, there is some gorgeous paper that goes with this stamp bundle. I just don't have it yet. The Mediterranean paper is very lovely. I went looking for something that would complement this without overpowering. And so I found this. This is the Just Retired Inked Botanicals, but it has this really pale green plaid, and I want to use this as a background. And what you can see is that when I use this frame, it is going to match. So I'm actually going to put this behind the leaves. So this is just a background. So what I'm going to do now is move my embossing machine over here so I can do everything on one run. So first I'm going to line this up and start building my sandwich. I just want, because of the straight lines, I do want to make sure I get that lined up straight. And then again, get this lined up. I like to look at the end and make sure I've got the entire stem in, make sure I've got these leaf tips, make sure I've got the flowers, and it looks like that's lined up good. So now I will put this on my cutting plate, and then I will start building the normal sandwich, where I've got plates 1 and 2 already in position. I've now got my paper and dies on between the 2 plates that are numbered 3, as you can see here. So now the trick is to very carefully lay this on top so that nothing moves, and then just simply crank it through. And I will have cut 2 images at once, which is always a bonus. So I'm going to move this out of the way and then start uncovering my plates here. That should just slide right off. Get that out of the way too. Perfect. Now, let's see what I've got. Yes, indeed. I'm liking that a lot. And then this is the piece that will go behind it. So I'm actually almost ready to start building the card, but I want to put a little something on the inside. And what I had decided was just to stamp a couple of the flowers. So I'm using the same petal pink, and then the stamp are just, there's some flowers that come with this die set, and I'm just going to put those random like this. Just a little bit of decoration on the inside. And then I do have a sentiment, and I'm going to stamp it. It came right off the Citrus Blooms, so it's going to say all the love. I really like this. I did cut a piece of cardstock that matches my card base, which I didn't tell you about yet. So I had picked Lemon Lolly. This is one of the new colors that just came out. So it will make the grapefruit pop when I've got all the rest of the background on him. So I've got that same color here, and I'm going to stamp all the love. I will probably cut this down once I get it stamped. Very simple. And I like this sentiment because it can mean so many different things. All the love, wishing you happy birthday. All the love, happy anniversary. All the love, I'm thinking of you. Get well soon. I mean, it can be absolutely anything, and that's what I really like about that type of a sentiment. So what I'll do first on the inside is go ahead and put my insert in. And so you see, I try not to over glue it, overdo it. Just dot it on there. Do make sure it's in the corners so that the corners can't pull up. There we go. And now I am ready to start building on the front. So I am going to, I think what I'll do is just glue this down first. I think it'll be easier to work on this piece and then build rather than trying to line these two up. I mean, you could really do it either way. I could glue this together and then put it down. So it's all according to how you think you can handle it best. Isn't that pretty too? Yeah, I love flipping things over and then seeing what's on the other side. So I'm going to glue these edges and a little bit down the middle. And then I just need to center this up. And I had really wanted to spin this, yes. And I'll show you why when I put the next layer on. I had noticed there was the white lines on this side, and I think it's going to be busier with my design on the other side, so I wanted to make sure that that would show. That looks good. Now, I could continue using Tombow. Tombow works great. What I would do is just dot it on, but I think because this is so fine, I'm going to go to my fine tip glue here. Now, this is clear. And so I'm going to go ahead and run it all along the edge. And you can see how fine this tip is. Now, and I've got a piece that didn't come off when I punched all the parts. And that was the reason I had pre-punched it, was to try to get all that done before I started on the video. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Might have a little clog in here. And the simple way to fix that is just to poke this back in. I usually have to balance it on my finger. There we go. And if this fails, I'll know it's time to take it apart and give it a good cleaning. But nope, looks like that is going to solve my problem. So along the edge, and then what I'm going to do, I need to get it over here too. What I will now do is put some dots on the leaves, and on the inside, I don't want these to be picking up or curling, you know, or even able to catch. You can see how delicate this is, that it's very easy to flop out of my hands. Okay, dot, dot, dot. Yes, I'm going to have to take this apart. It was flowing really good at the beginning, and now it's coming out very fine, which can be a good thing, because if you get a big blob of it, it can be a little messy. All right, I think that's going to be enough to hold it. So now all I have to do is line up the pretty curved edges, and it will sit right on top, and you'll see that backdrop. Yes. Okay, so now I've just got to think about how I want to lay this out, and I'm thinking I want the leaves. Oh, I may have to add a little glue to that. Now, that's easy to do. Either that or I just didn't press it down hard enough. So let's give it another touch. Okay, that's going to go there. I've got my All the Love. I do want to trim this down, and I'm just going to freehand do a snip, and then maybe just tuck this in here like that. So I'm going to go back to my Tombow and simply put some glue on here and decide where I want to tuck it in. Yep, like that. And then I'm going to put the sentiment on with the dimensionals and make that pop off the card base. I think that would be a good touch. Just like that. And I didn't grab my take your pick tool. I'll just use my thumb to pull those off. Put that in the trash. And then put that on here. Okay, so I think the glue is holding. I will check that again in just a minute. My last touch is going to be a little bit of shimmer here. Now, I could put a bow on here. It'd be really cute with a bow tied up here. I could put some gems on here if I wanted. But honestly, there's so much depth to this card already that I'm afraid to do much more. Let me pull this up. I think without being overly busy, it really does make the fruit pop. And then you have plenty of space to write a message on the inside or even stamp another sentiment. Just to give you a contrast, I did one the other day, and this was, instead of Lemon Lolly, I used the Daffodil Delight and Garden Green. So this really popped, and I mixed up the sentiments. Don't be afraid to pick a sentiment from another stamp set. You know, mix them up. And I wanted to make this one say Happy Birthday. So you can see how different the colors can look. And I went looking for kind of a Mediterranean background, and this came out of some old designer series paper left over from Eastern Beauty, I think, from several years ago. We all have lots of paper, so don't be afraid to mix up your paper as well. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's my card for today. If you like the project or the products that you've seen here, you can reach out to me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. You can also find me at stampinup.net. Renee Keys signing off. Thanks for joining.